Hello, everyone. My name is Zoe, and today I'm going to be talking to you about... Wait, that's not right, is it? This is my real name. And as a child, I spent years enduring teachers and classmates butchering my name, calling me Zobaida, 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 and my personal favorite, can I call you Zoe? It's true. Now, I never thought my name required that much effort to say because broken up phonetically, it's rather simple to pronounce because, well, we all go to the zoo in the summertime, we fish in the bay, and duh, you'll do better in Toledo. Unfortunately, I'm not the only person who's experienced the agonizing dissonance that one feels after hearing their name being mispronounced. Growing up in a society that hands out nicknames out of mere convenience, I succumbed to the pressures of wanting to fit in and avoid the struggle of correcting or teaching someone how to properly say my name. So I allowed people to call me by nicknames. And I recall every single time I allowed a person to call me by a name other than my own, a little piece of integrity disintegrated away. Now you all have names. Now everyone in here has a name. These names represent our identity, our culture, our parents, our history. In fact, it has been statistically proven that about 50% of babies are named after a family member. There are many reasons why a parent chooses to name their child after someone. It could be because they simply love that person, so they want to name their child after them, or that person was so remarkable in their character and conduct that the parent hopes to directly influence their child's lives to grow up believing that they have to live up to this name, almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, I was about 19 or 20 when I came to the realization that my name stemmed far deeper than what people called me. My name was not only my identifier, it was a representation of who I was, who my father was, and where I came from. I began to realize that my name was so much bigger than me, and that I could pave the path for other Zubaidas out there to avoid having to sit in that classroom and listen to someone mispronounce their name. My conviction in my name led me to understand and accept my fate of being a walking representation for anyone who saw themselves in my narrative. I could now break so many preconceived perceptions because I was this walking, breathing, living demonstration of everything that I signified. I represented my gender, I represented my faith, my family, my business, my city. The list goes on and on. Cassius Clay, or you all may know him as Muhammad Ali, a name which is synonymous with freedom, justice, and standing up for what you believe in. This man paved the path for people to begin to accept a new way of thinking because he knew what his name represented and recognized that his actions would reflect upon the different communities that he belonged to. But why the name change? Muhammad represents a set of different values that he adopted when he accepted the religion of Islam. And while these values were unknown to his community, he took it upon himself to be a messenger of his new faith and educate everyone through his conduct. Now, you all have names. You've all been judged based on those names. But what about the names of the different discourse communities that you belong to? Whether you're a politician, a teacher, a doctor, or a lawyer, whether you're a feminist, an activist, a pacifist, or an environmentalist, you each belong to these groups, and each one of you represents those specific groups. Now, let's say you don't belong to any of these specific groups. More often than not, you may have a preconceived judgment of people who do belong to those groups. Sometimes your judgments are positive, and unfortunately, sometimes they're negative. Now, in this world where bad news spreads like wildfire, and there have been many occurrences where one small group of people, and I mean small group of people as in one or two individuals of a specific community, these people paint a very negative picture of that community. That's not limited to just Muslims, but the general population ends up disliking or even hating the entire group. I'll give you an example. During World War II, after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, Japanese Americans faced much scrutiny from their fellow citizens, and over 100,000 people even ended up in detention camps. Due to the political climate at the time, if your name was Yuki, you all of a sudden had to go on the defense. You had to defend and almost perfect all your behaviors simply because of your name. Another example is 9/11. Before the September 11th attack, if your name was Kareem, what was the connotation? Oh, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, can you hoop? What a cool name. But now if your name is Kareem, you're automatically feared, you're randomly selected at every airport, and people just can't help but wonder if you're good at chemistry. One of my favorite quotes is, "Be careful of the life you lead. You may be the only book some people ever read." Think about this for a second. How many groups do you belong to? 5, 6, maybe even 10? Have you ever been judged based on one of those groups? You see, this is the problem with our society. We judge the collective group of people based on a few individuals' behaviors. And the only way to break this is for us to stand up and reclaim our group's reputation by representing them in the most dignified way, so that if you're the only book some people ever read from that group, hopefully their perceptions will be altered for the better for life. So by adopting this mentality, we are actually making this world a kinder place by changing perceptions, by being walking representations of every discourse community that we belong to. As I stand before you today, speaking to myself before anyone, I'm holding every individual responsible for being the representation that they wish to see. So step outside of your comfort zone and participate in the world beyond your scope. We, as humans, were meant to be integrated within each other's communities to make our world distinctively unique. Because each person from every community brings something new and interesting to the table. And it's up to us, it's up to Jonathan, it's up to Michael, it's up to Kim, to Obama, it's up to Muhammad, to Jesus, to realize the gift of these differences and have the mentality that these differences are what perfect our world. Unfortunately, fear, whether it's fear of success or fear of progression, but fear is a common factor amongst those who discriminate and reject others. But if we can overcome that fear with integration, we will ultimately produce a better world. Now, since there are so many different communities, and not everybody is going to be familiar with everyone else, it's natural to fear the unknown. So naturally, when you meet someone, the first question you are asked is, what is your name? And by answering truthfully and using your name, not a nickname that conforms to the society you're in, but your real name, you're saying, hey, I'm different than you. I have something to offer you, and in turn, I have something to learn from you as well. You see, it's these types of encounters that help break barriers, supporting a group that doesn't particularly pertain to you individually, but rather stands up for other communities' justices. These are the interactions that bring out the humanity in people. And you'd be surprised, but you can completely change someone's perception of you and the community you represent by simply meeting someone new and introducing your name. So don't kneel to society's laziness simply out of convenience. It takes 1 minute for someone to try to pronounce your name and a lifetime to forget it once they have. Together, let us change the way people think by being walking representations of every discourse community we belong to. And it all starts with your name. My name is Zobaida Falah. I was named after Zobaida bint Ja'far, who is the best known of the Abbasid princesses. She's particularly remembered for the series of wells and reservoirs, which helped provide Muslim pilgrims water from the route from Baghdad to Mecca and Medina. My father gave me this name because he wanted me to live up to the person I was named after. My name has since become a benchmark for me to live up to. So I challenge you all to discover your namesake, find out why you were named that, and then try to live up to something greater than yourself and be the representation you wish to see. Thank you.